Good afternoon and welcome. It's a fairly misty afternoon here over that kudu. Still lovely to be out in the wild on this early summer's day. And this, of course, is your very own live safari. My name is James Hendry. On camera today we have got BK the Biceps Bokomoso, there he is. And the reason I've left that kudu straight away is that we're hopefully heading towards where a leopard was found this morning with a kill. I'm hoping we're going to be able to re-find her. There are two other people going into the area to give it a go, so hopefully we'll be lucky with a leopard. Please talk to us during the course of the show. You can do that using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Alternatively, if you happen to find yourselves in the lucky position of being under the age of 18, you can send us an email using kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That's kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Any questions or comments that you might have, we'd love to hear from you. As I said, it's quite a rainy afternoon. It's been a very rainy day, and this big front that I think has enveloped most of the northern and eastern parts of the country is certainly blanketing us in pretty cold, chilly, wet weather. Hopefully off to find a leopard.
Jumbo, a very good afternoon and welcome back to, your afternoon game drive. My name is Isaac and on camera I have Big James. Our plan this afternoon is to go down towards the marsh, see if we can find some marsh lions and maybe find Romy the leopard. That is our mission, but not to ignore these guys that we've come across, and they're quite interesting here. They found this log and they are making use of it. You can guess what is happening here. When animals find a brush, a rock, a stump, or a log, an itch develops automatically, and they use the log to ease off the itch. And as you can see here, they're working on their, itches, which can occur in any part of the body. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's nice to be back doing what is the best job in the world. Yes, look at that. He's really enjoying that scratch. Okay, you rub in between the legs. Okay, position properly. Okay. Look at this. What is the next spot? Yeah. Okay, where next? It was a very bad one. He's still insisting on that spot for very long. Oh, make sure it doesn't go you. Hey. Okay, do you have another itch? Okay, let's try backside. Okay. This is quite interesting. Faz, good afternoon. You want to know if zebras would feed on old tree barks? Unfortunately not. I've never seen them. They are pure grazers. They might nibble on small shrubs that are unseen or hidden in grass, but I've never seen them eating on tree barks. Look at that. This guy has got serious itch. He needs a shower or something. He's had an itch in every part of his body. Now it's in between the head. Be careful, zebra, you might injure yourself. Okay, where is next now? Okay, the male. Yeah, he need pest control to get rid of those biting insects. I don't know if they're in the skin. Okay, this is really cool. I'm gonna stick with it for a little bit more. Let's see what's happening in one of our other locations.
Hello everyone. How wonderful that we found Fang and her herd. It's the same herd that we spent yesterday afternoon with. How nice. Hi everyone, it's me, Trishala, and I've got Po on camera with me this fine afternoon in Juma. It's not raining, but we do still have our rain roofs on. So if you see the Po, please do excuse it. Fang is a really large matriarch. If you see her compared to the other individuals, you'll see that she's far larger. Can you imagine that an elephant bull would be even larger? For obvious reasons, we call her Fang. Look at her backward-facing tusk there. If you look at the other elephants, all their tusks are in the correct position. Hello, young bull. I think that elephants are very grateful for days like this when they can stay nice and cool without too much effort. And we've had some wonderful rain. Yesterday evening and this morning it rained so much, over 20 millimeters. Moonbeam, you say, what's happened to spring? It's still looking so dry. I will tell you, Moonbeam, it is dry, but it is greener than it was. There's little bits of green grass popping out, and also all these little new leaves are also popping out. Sorry, my game drive radio is just loud there. But also, Moonbeam, it's not just about the temperature, it's about the rain. And that's why I'm so glad that we had all that rain last night and today. In fact, 20 millimeters was only from last night, and it continued to rain through the day today and this evening. Now that the soil has gotten nice and damp, I'm sure that we'll see the bush burst with green. And of course, that'll make all the herbivores very, very happy. Look at that little one. They so quietly go about their business, but not always quietly. Sometimes they can be very, very vocal, which is also exciting. But they have such a calming effect. That's why it's such a pleasure to spend time with them. There's a little one coming a little bit closer. Might be just behind the tree now. Hopefully it'll move closer to us. With elephants, it's nice to be away from them and then allow them to come towards you, and they can be quite curious about you. And in that situation, you know that you are not being intrusive. You're not forcing your presence upon them. And you can expect a much calmer elephant. Everyone's loving the elephants. I'm so glad. I love them too. They're eating quite quietly today, but have a listen. They're pulling the roots, eating the wonderful moist grass from the rains.
Here we have got a little herd of elephants just feeding quietly, as elephants do most of the time. Well, sometimes they feed noisily, but this lot are just having a quiet feed on the misty afternoon. On the misty afternoon, in the misty afternoon, through the misty afternoon. This particular one is relieving itself. Here comes her baby. He was obviously a little bit left behind. And it's just catching up. Very cute. Still quite hairy on the forehead. That baby is in imminent danger of having an enormous dung ball placed upon its head. We've seen that a few times. It's now going off to follow its friends. It's already crossed the road. So sweet. There goes Mum. Just saying to us, I see you. No need to come any closer, to which our response is absolutely, we agree, totally. Now you may have noticed a little bit of a roof on the top of the picture. That's because it has been raining, and so unfortunately our field of view is slightly hampered by the fact that we have a roof. We're now going to carry on towards where the leopard was seen earlier this morning.
Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to And Beyond in Gala. Our first animal that we've seen this afternoon is one of my favorite franklins. It's called a Coqui franklin, and that one that was in shot was the female, and the male Owen is right next to that short tree. See it coming more towards the vehicle, actually, so that's really cool. Okay, come down again, Owen, and then go more to the right. So they're coming out into the open in front of the vehicle now. Looks like the pair of them are just about to cross the road in front of us, actually. Just whilst you're here, my name is Eric. Behind camera is Owen, as always. And as you can see, we are in our rain suits today. It's been a very cold, miserable day. So there we go. One's crossing the road. And then there's another one, somewhere in there. There you go. So that one there, if I'm correct, so see if you can see it's moving very quickly, but around the face, there was a couple of markings. Let me see if I can move forward again and show you all. So Coqui franklin, one of the harder ones to find, just because of their behavior. So straight along this game path. And these two are very obliging. I'd love for you just to have a quick look at the male, because he's got a beautiful chestnut head, and then he's got that black and white striping all down his breast. There we go. It's a really nice view of him. And just look how well, especially on the back and all of that mottled marking, how well they blend in with their surroundings. And so they're spending time feeding on small little seeds and probably insects now that they're coming out in this rain. It does look like we're starting to get some heavier droplets. So we won't move too far from camp, and hopefully the rain holds out.
The rains are starting to come. I've felt some drops myself. Now, this is one of the pleasures of allowing elephants to come to you. They feel so comfortable. This one's just got its head down, eating. Feels comfortable enough to come quite close to the vehicle. This is a young female. See, the ears are tucked close to the body so not to lose too much heat. Hi, girl. There's some very tasty vegetation right next to us. Hello, lovely. Neva, you'd like to know if the elephants have hair in other parts other than the tail? They do. If you look at the mouth, there's tiny little sensory hairs there, as well on the head. In fact, along the body, you'll see very light hairs, but they're most obvious on the top of the head, on the trunk, and on the mouth, the lower lip. Such a pleasure. Looks like she just noticed that something a little bit foreign was nearby. Now, all those hairs provide an extra tactile sense. Hello, precious. Hello, precious. She gave me a look. I like to keep talking to them when they're nice and close like that, so they don't feel that all of a sudden I'm quiet. Because if I were a predator, if I was something that is a possible threat, when the elephant came close, I'd want to hide. I'd want to lie really low. So if I'm continuously talking, it means I'm not trying to hide from them. I'm not trying to be sneaky. And that also means that while they're close by, they understand and they expect a sound. So busy. When the elephants are still quite young, you can see the hairs quite well. There's our rain pool there, guys. As you can see, this little one has decided that she wants to hide from us. I'm gonna That was one of the big cows pushing down a tree. I'm gonna reverse a little bit and hopefully get a better view for us.
Look what we have been so lucky to see. Tundi the leopardess and her little baby, found by Rexon early this morning, and he found her with a duiker kill, and I don't know where the kill is, but here is Tundi with the little baby.
The way it is structured, we want all of us enjoy. It will be one.
We're so lucky.
One, one sort of sequence.
Isn't that beautiful? Oh. And I know there are a lot of sticks in the way, but we're just so lucky to be here, and so grateful to Rexon for finding her. Rexon is a guide here at Chuma. Fantastic tracker. All-round fantastic guide, and obviously has been in the bush since he was wearing nappies, and so he knows his way around a woodland and a set of tracks. Yes, Jenna, it is very special. We're very lucky indeed. Oh, and there's an elephant just behind. Can you see it? Just walking past. Oh, this is amazing, because I tell you what's so amazing is that Tundi, the leopardess, is not known for being the most patient leopard in the world, and her little son doesn't care at all. And I remember with Talamba, her previous daughter, or her previous offspring, a daughter, she used to also behave in a manner that suggested the cub was irritating her, but she'd still play with the cub a lot. Just going to sit very quietly because Tundi can sometimes get a little irritated by the presence of human beings. So I'm going to keep very quiet and sit very still. And now she's calming down again. But you can see the cub eventually took the warning and has wandered off. Taylor the cub is now cub is now 7 months old. Yeah, 7 or 8 months old. In fact, I can hear the little cub eating now, I think. Can you see it there, BK? He's climbing up onto the tree. I wonder if there isn't the kill there. Can you see him there? I can just see his spots moving behind her on the tree that slopes up towards the bank where the elephants were. Just see him there. Yeah, he's just behind that big branch. There, you can see the flick of his tail there. That's it. We're not going to move at the moment. We're just going to stay where we are. Mum's getting up a little bit. No, she's going back to sleep. Very, very special to have these two famous cats with us. We're going to sit here and enjoy them for the whole afternoon, I hope. In the background, you might just be able to hear the dissatisfied calling of a magpie shrike, probably because they have spotted this spotted cat. BK, was that a very funny joke? It was great, wasn't it? Yeah. I'm sure no one else has ever made that joke before. And now Tundi is flat on the ground, having a good rest. Yeah, I can hear him, the little cub, biting, chewing. So she stashed the duiker kill up in the fallen over tree that sort of crosses this minor tributary of the great Umuluwamati River. I am being sarcastic. The Umuluwamati is normally dry most of the time. Phew, what a joy. Tundi not vaguely interested. We're not going to see him if we go back, are we, BK? Shall we try just a little? Ooh. Elephant shouting just behind. I don't think at her, because I don't think the elephant can see her. She's so well hidden. There's an elephant just behind that car there. We're just going to go back a little bit and see if we can't get a view of the cub in the tree. Otherwise we'll just stay where we were. Can you see anything through there, BK? I think the duiker is up in that tree that's just fallen over. Yeah, if you just zoom straight in there, I think he's in there somewhere. You can see how difficult it is to find leopards, because they just disappear into the foliage. Although, to be fair, you could probably hide a jumbo jet in there. That's the sound of the elephants. Now, between the leopard and the elephants, there is a car, a game drive vehicle that Rexon's driving. So they've got animals on both sides. No, James, the cub is not too young to hunt. The cub will definitely be killing things on his own by this stage. And you'll probably find that they start killing things from the day they come out of the den. And those things will be very unimpressive prey, like ants, termites, the odd grasshopper, season allowing, butterflies, that sort of thing. And then slowly they just start to take bigger stuff, and when mum goes away to go hunting, they might kill a squirrel or two, or a bird if they're lucky. And so by this stage you'd expect him to be able to take down a small antelope. I'm just going to watch how this little scene plays out and not go anywhere.
We haven't had to move too far, and we found a much larger animal than the Koki Franklin we saw a bit earlier on. And we've got this giraffe here who's feeding in these really nice thickets. So we're right up against the Timbavati River, which is directly behind the giraffe now. And he's just taking it nice and easy, moving from bush to bush. You know, he must be absolutely loving this time. Not only him, but all of the browsers in this area. Giraffe, kudus and nyalas, even the elephants. Because, I mean, there's just the spring of life that's happening to the trees. And you can just look at how green some of them are. So that's another one that's in the distance. It looks like a female. And they haven't really interacted with one another, so they've probably already interacted, and it looks, maybe it's a young male. Let me use my binoculars before I say something like that. No, it does look like a female. On top of its head there, it's got long black tufts of hair, so I was right saying it's a female. And interesting, she's walking on top of a termite mound. And she's feeding on some very new shoots and some of the scrubs and bushes around that mound. And I'm sure, compared to what she's been feeding in the last 6 months, it must be so nutrient rich. So that's why I think these browsers in this area must be loving their time. And especially with this rain, in the next week or so, we'll be really looking like it's summer. Just you have to use your lip there to navigate around that branch. So, Kayla, it's quite an interesting question, and I guess you just look at their behavior. I mean, you can, if you look at the body of an animal, you might be able to see an animal with really big eyes needs to use its eyesight when it's dark. But I think the easiest thing to do is just to look at their behavior. And if they're active during the daytime, then there's a really strong chance that it's not a nocturnal species. You sometimes see aardvark, especially up in Tswalu, you see aardvark that are moving around, especially in the wintertime and late hours of the afternoon and early on in the morning. But primarily they're active when it's really dark. And so these giraffe, for example, they tend to be more diurnal, so they're active during the daytime, but they don't completely stop moving for 8 hours when it's dark. They still move around a lot. They might settle down for a couple of hours, but if they settle down too long, they become vulnerable to the nocturnal predators like lions and leopards. Maybe not leopards for giraffe, but certainly lions. And so they need to move around and make sure that there aren't any potential predators in that area. And just look down the road there. I mean, look at the different puddles, especially on the bend And that's all filled up in the last 24 hours. And so these animals that needed to travel huge distances on a day-to-day basis to find water, at least for now, don't need to move that far at all. So I was just saying to Owen, in particular in this area around Ngala, one of the trickier animals to find when the weather's like this are leopards, because they don't need to move around very much. They can just drink from random puddles on the side of the road or in a dried up area in the bushes. And because we've had so much rain, the soils are nice and damp and quite wet. And so if we drive off, there's a chance we get stuck or create ruts in the road. And so most of our game viewing will be done either from the river or from the roads, at least until it dries up. Probably within the next 2 or 3 days, we might look at off-roading again. But our first rains for the season started off with 30 mils. It's a very, very welcome call for it to be raining. So we're very happy that we've got rain, we've got these puddles, we've got these animals looking nice and healthy. It's just such a wonderful time of year to be driving around and experiencing the bush after the 6 months of dryness.
It is lovely to have the rain. It's lovely especially to be out in the bush post the rain, as opposed to in the bush in the rain, which can be fairly unpleasant, because we humans just, we're not so great in the rain, are we? We get cold and miserable. Not as miserable as the duiker, which was killed by Tundi this morning, probably in the rain, struggling desperately to hear what's going on around her. Rivki, the cub will only reach full mass at around, here comes the cub. He will only reach full mass at around 6 years old. But he'll be big enough to take a territory as early as 3 years, but most likely between 4 and 5. But he'll only attain his full mass somewhere between 6 and 8. There's quite an interesting little situation playing out here. There's a young elephant bull approaching this vehicle full of tourists in front of us. And he's half smelling them and half smelling the leopard. Now, we would show you, but we can't put other people on camera, so I'm just going to tell you how it plays out. He's very close to the leopard, and I'm sure he's just trying to entertain himself. He's posing no danger to anyone. Now the leopard is stalking the elephant. Unfortunately, the pole is in the way of the leopard, and I don't want to start the car because I'm going to create a problem. You can quickly show the elephant there, BK. That's the elephant there, that big grey thing with the 2 spikes coming out the front of its face. Tundi's now up. She's going to have a feed, and the youngster is stalking the elephant. This is classic. Here he comes. What a moron. This is classic. Fascinating to see how this plays out. He's now just ducking out the way. He's gone right behind the elephant. The elephant is now almost on us. There's a young bull, as I said, so he's just an inquisitive, interested fellow. And this is not uncommon, especially for young male leopards, or young leopards in general. they'll often do this sort of thing, sneak up on animals 4 or 5 times their size. And you can see his mother is not vaguely concerned. She's gone off to have a feed and left him in the company of us and the elephant. So he's gone just off behind the bush. And I'm sure the elephant can smell cat around. I can't see the leopard right now. This is just great.
Saying what?
I can't see the leopard still. And the elephant is now standing pretty much where Thandi and her cub were lying. And the cub has kind of circled round behind the elephant. There we go. The elephant saw him, and I just saw him duck off. There he is. He's just crossing now in front of us. As soon as he realized he'd been spotted, he skedaddled off. Elephant don't care. Elephant's enjoying the greenery under the trees here. What a magnificent young cat. Sorry about that beeping. It's the game drive radio. Somebody is sitting on the game drive radio. We'll try and sort that out and stay exactly where we are.
What a sight that must be. Leopard and its cub. By the way, Thandi in one of the languages in Kenya means lightning. So it's a beautiful name. Okay, I have African fish eagle. One of our, one of our eagles. Very much like the sea eagles, they feed mainly on fish. They have structures on their talons called spiracules that allow them to grab slippery things like fish. With very good eyesight, they're able to see even 3 kilometers and almost a foot into water. So they can fly at lightning speed, grab whatever is fish, and then come back to the same perch to eat it. Cutting it into pieces using their, you see that beak is adapted for shearing and cutting meat. It's quite a big eagle. They weigh up to around 4 kilos, and they're found very widespread all over Africa. It looks like he's getting restless. I don't know if he's going to take off. It's a very beautiful eagle, this one. Sometimes yes, it looks like the American bald eagle in some way, but I think the bald eagle is slightly bigger. I've never seen it physically. Hopefully one day I will be able to compare it more. These guys also feed on small crocodiles, turtles. They have been observed even eating ducks and other water birds. They're also pirates. They will steal kills of, other little birds like small eagles. They will steal. Also, they can hunt little rabbits and rock hyraxes, so they're very adaptable. I'm gonna be moving on to see what's further up. Let's see what's happening somewhere else.
Greetings and welcome to this other side of the Mara. We have a lion that we've been tracking, and look at where he's ended up. Now this lion seems like he's going to relax and have a peaceful time there. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Bungei. This lion has his brother, and there's a lioness not far from here. They've killed an old buffalo bull. We followed this guy because he looked like he was after something. Little do you know, he went to drink and then came back to rest. Look at how big he is, panting. Very nice place for shade. So within this area we have a hyena den that we discovered this morning. So we're waiting to see if later on there'll be a hyena activity challenge, trying to challenge these lions. This is an old, young male, resting. Look at how he's panting. I'm sure he's really, really, really hot. I like the way he's concealed, because when you come through here, you can't really tell if there's a lion because of where this lion is situated. The buffalo kill, or the buffalo carcass, is almost half. The hind legs have already been eaten, and some of the inner softer tissues. So because this lion is resting, I'm sure when it cools off later on, they will come back to their carcass and continue with their meal. And if they're successful, the rest of the pride will come to join for the meal. But I'm sure the hyenas here will have a big challenge today. Because this lion is just resting here, I'm going to carry on. It may become a little bit while later to see if they'll go back to the carcass. And while I do that, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
Unspeakably cute animal is still stalking the elephant, which is now directly behind us and moving away slowly. So I think he's given up on that. He's going to go back towards where his mum is eating there. Oh, no, he's not. He's going to climb a tree, but behind another tree. That's really unfortunate. How far up is he going to go? I could move, but I think he'll come down as soon as I move the car. Oh, that's a pity. Should we try BK? I'm just going to shift you forward slightly. Come on, car. There we go. It's very cute. Oh, and down. Sure, you find that the cubs stop suckling around about, well, they start the weaning process around 3 months, maybe even before that. And then certainly by 6 months, they're definitely not suckling anymore, but 6 months would be very late. So, it always varies depending on the cub. But that gives you an idea. But they start eating meat from about 6 weeks. So I guess you could say that the weaning process starts around then. Look at that. I must say, I think we've got some surprisingly good views of all the animals given a number of trees and fallen over sticks and bushes and grass.
3, 4, 5 points that have been cut.
Yes, any an elephant, if it could get hold of a leopard, would definitely kill it. But it wouldn't make the effort to try, if you know what I mean. So, you know, that young bull and this young cat, if he really approached the elephant and kind of tried to take bits of hair out of the elephant's tail, the elephant would turn around, and if he could get hold of the leopard, then the leopard would be in trouble. But it's not like the elephant would make a massive effort to try and get hold of the leopard and kill it. Same as with a human being, you know. An elephant will leave a human being alone for the most part, unless it feels extremely threatened. Always had an extremely bad day. So there's a little cat gone down into the riverbed, and hopefully it'll come out again very shortly. He's now approaching, for entertainment's sake, the other vehicle in which Rexon is. He is probably about 3 meters from Rexon. Looking straight into Rexon's eyes.
Don't do that, guys. This leopard is so close. Mother can protect the inside.
I don't know if you can hear their Rexon telling his guests to be quiet because they were starting to get overexcited. Now, as exciting as it is to have a cub that size, 3 meters from you, when its mother is Tundi, it's not a position that you want to be in, really. Just simply because Tundi can be a little bit unpredictable. There's our little leopard. He's just having a rest. He's investigating the game drive vehicle and its occupants. He won't get too close though, he's just having a look at them. Having a fun time. And this is very typical of young, especially male mammal behavior. This inquisitiveness that really doesn't seem to be the same in females of the same species. With the cats more so, definitely more so with the cats.
So, another antelope species that we don't see too often is big waterbuck, and I mean, when we do see them, they tend to be moving away from us. So to watch him with that nice big set of horns, they're both, so there's 2 of them actually. There's this one and then there's one slightly higher up. And both at the same time, they stop what they're doing and they turn their heads to the right and they're focused on a noise that happened. And that's the advantage of being together. You see, that one's also got horns, so it's a younger male. And as long as he's not trying to overtake the dominance of the larger one that's slightly below him, the older one will tolerate him. And the more eyes, the merrier in this environment. If you've got one pair, if it's just you and you need to eat, you need to drink, you need to do a whole bunch of other things, it's very difficult for you to constantly keep a lookout as to what's going on. So having another waterbuck around will just help with adding to the extra safety. Rivki, that's a good question. I would love to think that it's going to be a wet summer. I mean, last season, I think we only got our rains. The majority of our rains only arrived, I think, towards the end of January, February, was when we, or maybe even December. So to get a nice big spell of rain in September is hopefully a good omen for the upcoming summertime. So hopefully we'll be able to show you the Timbavati River that we've seen dry for the last 6 months. Maybe we get to show the viewers it flowing for the first time. And this waterbuck is completely unfazed. I mean, he's watching us, but it doesn't necessarily mean... Penelope, I completely agree with you. They are very elegant. And just, I mean, the shades of colouring around its head, I've never really noticed that chestnut in between the horns on the top of the forehead there, and then those beautiful white stripes on just above the eye. But for me, their horns are just really spectacular, the way that they point forward, and just look how strong and stocky this male is. He's actually going up to join that younger male that we saw. You'll see 2 of them in the shot there now. And you get to see the size difference now. So he's way bigger than that one on the left. And again, up, alert, looking. There was some spur fowls that were chirping and making a noise, which could often be an alarm call. And so a quick look to make sure that there's nothing potentially dangerous like a leopard approaching, and then carrying on with their day. Now see, that one on the left-hand side is a lot lighter. He's got much lighter hair and coat than the bigger one on the right. And there they disappear. Now that they've moved off into the bushes where we can no longer see them, Owen and I are going to carry on driving to see if we can find anything else.
Our little leopard has got himself behind a red spike thorn, and he's staring lovingly up at Rexon, who found him today. Unfortunately, I cannot move forward because there is a tree in front of me, and I will stick a big branch through the radiator if I move. So this is the best view we're going to have, I'm afraid. Well, that's okay. We've had a magnificent afternoon with him.
Mamba here, it's a great day coming.
James, all mammals have to regulate their bodies' temperatures to between 36 and 38 degrees Celsius. 38 would be very hot, but somewhere around there. And when you feel cold, what it is your body saying it's cold, I need to maintain body heat and reduce the cold. And so you'll either put a jersey on, or you'll go inside, or you'll get out of the wind. And those same triggers must apply to an animal like a leopard, because if they didn't apply, the leopard just would get cold and wouldn't do anything about it, and its bodily function would slowly stop working. And so, yes, they do feel cold the same way that we do. They must, in order to take the action needed to reduce that cold. But they are obviously not animals that have to live inside, or have to wear clothes, or have to be out of the elements like we as human beings do, because, we've evolved very differently. So the leopard is covered in fur, and when it's cold, it's probably not, it wouldn't get as cold as we do, but it'll still try and get out of the wind. If they're wet, they'll try and get under shelter and be away from the cold, or they'll move around to try and warm up. So yeah, they must feel cold. All warm-blooded animals, or homeothermic. I lost my words for a second there. Endothermic's what I meant. Endothermic animals must feel cold, because if they don't feel cold, they just allow themselves to get cold. And I think that I'm not sure if there are people who don't feel temperature, but there's certainly people who don't feel pain. The pain receptors don't work properly, and I suspect quite strongly that they don't feel hot and cold in the same way that most people would. And those people actually have a severe disability because they can't feel if they're getting too hot or if they're getting too cold. And that's very dangerous for them. And the same would go for a leopard if it didn't feel cold or hot. They don't react to it in the same way we do, though. Because we're used to being warm and snug, when we get cold and wet outside, we start to long to be inside. They don't have that because they've never experienced it. He's a very sweet little fellow, isn't he? A little dove calling behind us, a Cape turtle dove. And now he's moved off. He'll probably go and maybe try and get something to eat from his mother. She'll definitely shout at him. And they don't feed together, of course. But maybe he'll pop up here and give us another view. There he comes. What a very special afternoon.
We come across hippos in the Mara River, and it looks like they are getting active. Almost time for them to come out. They normally come out at around 6, or sometimes when it's dark at around 7, but seems like they're in the water. I can see them spraying and puffing water up. We have one of the bulls that has just left that pod there. You can see them dried stamped. It rained a big rain upstream about a week ago. Oh, I can hear a hippo calling there. And these are the logs that have been carried washed down to. That's hippo communication. Very, very interesting. You can see some of the bulls walking towards the upstream area. See, like that one there. We have another one just leading him. See the way they submerge and then walk and then pop up for air. Super interesting. And because the other side of the river is not very, very much visited because of the forest, they prefer walking to the other side. Look at the grass there, very short grass. Seems like there was a lawnmower that went through that area simply because of the hippos grazing. Now they have a specified way of grazing and plucking grass using their lips, which actually levels the entire grass of where they've passed through. Now normally when they're walking out of the water, they're led by the big bull. So the big bull will walk out of the river, use the same path they use on a daily basis, or sometimes maybe further upstream or downstream, while he sprays or marks his territory, while he's followed by these females and the young ones, and of course younger bulls. Not that all day they can spend in the water, but sometimes you find them in the water because there's some biting flies that irritate them, which makes them go into the water during the day. but they prefer also basking on the sun. See them out on the riverbanks. Thank you so much for your question. How sensitive are hippos to water pollution? Depending on the sort of pollution, it can be toxic, depending on what type of pollution came in, because you might find that the upstream in most rivers, you find that there are flower farms, horticulture farms, where they might release chemical components into the river, and that can be fatal towards these hippos. But then they are sensitive, but I would say not as high at risk than the fishes that are highly dependent on the water. Because if the hippos, when they defecate in the water, there's some fishes that get to eat the dung. So when the chemical component is released here, they're the ones that suffer the most. So these hippos can get irritation on the eyes and on the skin, but then because they walk out on the land to eat the grass, I can say they are not as a high risk as compared to the little creatures in the water, like the fishes. It's so calm, peaceful. You can see two hippos fighting there, a play fight. Two young bulls. See, that one is actually falling. So if it's a serious fight, sometimes you find them scooping water over to the other one and then opening their mouth wide, which is what we call an aggressive display, displaying their teeth, those big cannons that they have, while scooping water and jumping in a loop dance. So they're all now in the water. I'll head off, try to find something else as we send you over to another safari vehicle.
We found another herd of elephants. These ones are on Vuyatela axis, close to Gallagher Pan. Can you see the drongos hanging out in the trees above them, trying to catch the little insects that are flushed out? Oh, got a drongo fighter as well. Such entertaining birds. The elephants have been taking it really, really easy today. I think that the rain has really helped them. I can hear some shouting in the background too. I really like to watch elephants in weather like this. It's not something I've gotten to do often. When I say weather like this, not just damp, but where there's a brewing thunderstorm. And I like to see how they react to the thunder. Oh, look. There's that drongo again. There's a little one on paw on this side. It's got its trunk in Mum's mouth. There we go. Yeah, to watch them how they react to the thunder. Good Sky, you'd like to know what the difference between African and Asian elephants are? Well, African elephants are larger. All of them have tusks, except for the recessive gene of tusklessness, and there is this population, especially in Mozambique, that are tuskless. But generally, all of them have tusks. Asian elephants, not all of them have tusks. They do have what's called tushes. And all of them, they're like short tusks that you don't get to see. But males will have proper tusks, and even then, not all of them. So Asian elephants are smaller. They all don't have tusks. Their skin looks a little bit different. It's a little bit browner. Their ears are a little bit pink. Also, their ears are smaller. Their skulls are also significantly smaller. African elephants are more recent phylogenetically than Asian elephants. Asian elephants are more closely related to mammoths and mastodons than our African elephants are. So the African elephant is the largest land mammal. The temperament of the Asian elephant is a little bit more docile as well. Grumpy Bear, you'd like to know if elephants have the ability to remember specific people. They certainly do. As long as those are people that they are well acquainted with. For example, their keepers. People that are somewhere they are specifically accustomed to. So, for example, not me or Paul. They may recognize that we are people, or that we are humans, whereas some sort of different animal to them, but they will not be able to recognize, oh, that's that human that lives in the camp down the road, that girl. They won't be able to remember that, and that's because they move quite a bit. We're not always seeing the same elephants. We're seeing different herds, and of those elephants that we do see, we are just one of many people on the reserve that they see often. It's also a matter of usefulness. How useful is it for them to remember the random people that don't mean anything to their lives? That's why when elephants have keepers or guards or protectors, especially in areas where there's poaching, you can sometimes get units that look after specific animals. Then they build a relationship with those people, and they recognize those people because it is of use to them and it's important to them, much like ourselves. Anyway, I'm now going to head down to the Hyena Den and see if there's any action there.
We are enjoying the sighting of our little leopard cub. He is looking at BK with well, I suppose interest. I would almost suggest there was slight irritation there. But he does look very irritated now. Now he looks like he's going to sleep, which of course he is. It is his prerogative as a cat to go to sleep. Remember to talk to us, everybody. #WildEarth on the tweet. Alternatively, you can use the chat stream on YouTube. Alternatively, if you're very young, you can send us an email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. There's still quite a lot of moisture coming out of the sky, and so I think he's going to hunker down there until the need to feed overcomes him, and he'll probably try it on with his mother, who will, if she's had enough, she'll just leave the carcass where it is. Otherwise, she'll just warn him off. But he's very sleepy after all his elephant chasing this morning, at least earlier this afternoon. If you listen very carefully, you can hear Tundi feeding. You could just hear the crunch of what was once a happy little duiker running through the woodlands. It is now, unfortunately, a corpse. Much appreciated by the leopards, no doubt. It's a bit macabre. Do you hear her give a little chuff there? No, Atlanta, it's unlikely that the cub will stay in the area when it's grown. The males will normally move off a couple of territories along. That certainly has happened with her brother Hosanna and her son Tamba, both of whom have set up territories off towards the west and south of where we are now. Not the same territories, obviously, different territories from each other. We're not going to be able to stay here all afternoon, I'm afraid. There are about 784 people on their way down here. Well, why wouldn't there be such a magnificent little cat and his mum? But we can stay here for a little bit longer, which is great. Feel the peace of the afternoon descending as the cat goes to sleep. He's got that slightly startled look about him when he puts his ears back. You know, his mother so seldom puts her ears forward. She's so often got that kind of hang-eared expression, and I think she's a really pretty leopard when she's got her ears forward. When she's got them sideways and her eyes half shut, she looks, well, alternately terrifying and disdainfully irritated. I would obviously never suggest she was anything other than magnificently beautiful because, well, I'd probably be attacked in my sleep. Beauty in the eye of the beholder and all that. He's quite distinctive looking. I don't know, for me, his, and I'm really bad at recognizing human or animal, he's got kind of a palish ring around the eyes. You know what I mean? He's got quite pale eyes also. Paul, I think you're right. I think he does have a 1-1 spot pattern, but I've got quite a few pictures of him close up, actually, but I haven't memorized his spot pattern yet, which is, well, nothing but a travesty on my part. Let me see if I've got one on my phone quickly that'll quickly tell us. Before Twitter is also probably howling the answer at you. No, he's 2 on the left, actually, and I think he's 2 on the right as well. So his right, our left. There you can see the 2 spots on the side there. And I'm not sure what he is on the other side. I think he is. I seem to remember him being 2 that side as well. I'll just see if I've got another photo of him here, which will help us. I seem to only have one side of this cat's face. Yeah, I don't have a close-up of his other side. Oh, typical. So, yeah, I think he's 2-2 if I remember correctly.
So our lion here has decided to carry on and eat. They had killed the dagger boy. It seems like he's going back for a feast. It's cooled down, so it's a good time for these lions to eat. So together, in total, we have 4 sub-adults here. 3 males and 1 female. See the other brother here coming. He's coming here to try the meal. He wants to jump over. Maybe he's going for a little drink. Yeah. Yes, a little jump there. So these are slowly walking out of the pride. That's the reason why they formed a tag team where they'll be together for the rest of their life, if that is allowed and if it's possible for them to conquer a pride where they'll become pride males. This kill looks like it happened at around noon because it's still fresh, still intact. It seems like this dagger boy was resting here, or maybe had come for a drink, because mostly the old bulls prefer places like this where it's marshy, lots of water, and the grass is more tender, soft. So they ambushed him and put him down. So this meal is going to take them for about 3 or 4 days, which can at least be enough for them. Or even sometimes they can go for more. Look at how he's pulling the flesh. So you can hear this cannon slicing over the flesh. Seems like they began with the hind quarters. I can see that one of the hind leg is missing, and they went over for the softer tissue, which is typical of how lions or predators would start over on a kill. Especially the old bulls, buffalo bulls, are very, very tough. Their meat is tough. So when these lions eat this kind of buffaloes, it's really, really tough. You can see how he's pulling over the flesh. Look at how strong he is. When he pulls to slice, he actually pulls the entire carcass. You can see the African jacana there in the water. So I'm sure tonight it's going to be a frenzy. Hyenas will come here trying to get a share also. And because there are 4 lions, I'm sure they might try and defend. And if they're outnumbered, then they have to say sorry and go away. So he's decided to go to the softer tissues. The rib cage there, this tissue is so much soft. This lion is still devouring the carcass, and it's super, super powerful. Look at how he's pulling. Yes, that looks like soft, and let's go into the rib. Sometimes when it's too tough, they have to go inside fast to the softer tissues. He's staring and look at the blood on his face. A little clean there. So a fully grown lion can eat up to about 35 kilos of meat at one sitting. That is what we call a big male lion. So females take about 22 in one go, where they, especially when they've brought down a kill. But these are youngsters, so they've been walking down together. So young males assist in hunts, and they always walk with their sisters. So I would say there's still no hierarchy here where they'll be bullying each other. But if it was in a pride and the pride male was here, he will have gone first, and after he's had his fill, he will leave that to the other ones. He has to support with his leg while he pulls. Very well, thank you so much for your question. Yes, these three sub-adults, there's also a lioness. They're the ones that definitely pulled down this buffalo. So when lions are young from the age of about 2 all the way going to 3, before the males are separated from the rest of the pride, they assist in hunting. See, right now he doesn't have a big mane, so at least he can ambush or stalk game without being seen. But if it's a big male, then sometimes they get themselves exposed because of their big manes. But when bringing down big prey, for example, buffalo, giraffe, and even eland, big pride males assist because of their strength and power. This looks like a big meal, so as we sit here watching this lion, we hope that the rest of the pride of the youngsters will join in. So we're going to send you over to another safari vehicle.
Right, we've come round to where Tundi is clearly feeding on her breakfast. Well, lunch probably. Tea. Dinner. Everything. It's a little bit gory, pretty disgusting, but it is a meal for her. I thought she'd put it in the tree, but clearly she's decided that it's okay there. And, you know, she killed it today. There's no heat at all, which means that most likely no hyena will smell it. There's nothing to smell. I don't think it was an adult duiker either. Looks like it was quite a young one. Snatched from life in its infancy. Shame. Just hold on a second, I've just got to get on the radio. Charles, are you sure? Are you happy to go? Okay, thank you. We don't have to leave, everyone. That's great. We can stay where we are. Marvellous. I'm laughing, of course, because everybody is now referring to this cub from around this area. They're referring to him as Wolfie. Because that's what somebody on Torchwood called him. Lex Hess called him Wolfie. Don't worry, it's not his official name. Fear not. I just like to stoke that little fire of political intrigue that makes the American presidential elections pale to insignificance. A political intrigue involved in naming a leopard makes the South African politics, American politics, British politics, and Russian politics all seem completely meaningless. No, it wasn't that young. It was a relatively adult female duiker. Oh, shame. Any leopards hunt anytime. Anytime they can, anytime they think they'll be successful, they hunt. Ooh, she might take it up here. That'll be nice. So I think Tundi's looking pretty youthful today, don't you? She's normally looking a little old and haggard. But today, perhaps post a little bit of spring rain, she looks youthful. She's giving a little chuff or two to her youngster. He's moving up to follow her. And we'll see if they... Oh, no, she's not chuffing at him. She's hissing at him now. She's pulling a face. A face that indicates a deep displeasure. Let's see if she takes the kill up a tree.
Well, all that eating is making me hungry. Okay, from all the eating to some grazers that are slightly resting, but also eating something different. Remember, I'm at the marsh in the Mara Triangle, Masai Mara, and I have a beautiful herd of buffalo, which consist of youngsters like the one you see there, who's only maybe a month, and adult females, sub-adults, in company of old bulls. This is one of the iconic animals of the Mara. It's one of the big five, and we have a very good number of them here. There is plenty of them to eat in terms of grass, and it is very soft here. I always say maybe it feels like eating spaghetti or noodles. Yeah, the little guy is suckling there. You can tell he's getting the much needed rich nutrient milk that they take for about 6 months. The mother seems not to to care at all. It's letting the little guy get as much as possible. It's quite unique to see a buffalo suckling from the side, because they are known to suckle from in between hind legs, which might sound strange, but that's how they do it. Yeah, the guy coming from behind there is a bull, and you can tell by the size of the horns. The middle part, called boss, is much thicker, meant to cushion the brain and also hold the impact while fighting. Those are the ones they use also to fight or defend themselves against predators like leopard and lion. Not so much leopard, but lion is one of the predators that really goes for buffalo. It's not always easy to bring down one, especially the big bulls. Those horns are very lethal. Tracy, Jumbo, you want to know if buffaloes eat insects? It is not one of their preferred diets, but I'm sure amongst the many bites they take on the grass, they do take on grasshoppers, praying mantises, crickets. I've never seen them throw up after taking it in, but I'm sure they do eat them every now and then. It's not, it's in their diet, but yes, they do eat them. The buffalo is one of the two grazers that we have here in the Mara and all over Africa. They feed mainly on grass, and they are quickly affected by drought if the grass dries up. There was a little bit of noise there. I don't know what was happening. Sounded like two were fighting. They moo like cows, and that's what I heard. I think it was amongst those guys there. The white bird you've seen, I'm sure you've heard about it again and again and again. It's called the Cattle Egret. Always in company of buffaloes and other grazers, taking advantage of the insects trying to get away from being trampled by the hooves from these animals. Herds like these are very common in the Mara. This one here is around about 100. They get to around 600 in some areas. And these guys are positioned in a very beautiful area because it is very lush, very green. All the grazers would want to be here. There's never shortage of grass around this area. Lots of young ones, looks like they've been doing well. Buffaloes have got no specific breeding season. They always Excel Genesis, if I'm not wrong. You want to hear if they've been domesticated, the buffalo. Yes, you know, you sometimes find them in some camps, and the main reason is when a young one, the mother is eaten or killed, the young one doesn't have anywhere to go. Sometimes the guide walking down the road, they pick it up, bring it to camp, they raise it by giving it milk, and it gets domesticated, get used to people. But the one thing that still remains is that they're very wild. At a certain age, they will still come back to their wild behavior where they go and try and butt people with their horns. So yes, I have seen them in camps mainly, not by the local people. They don't even think of trying to domesticate them. But in some of the camps, I have come across buffaloes. But at a certain age, they have to go because they become too dangerous. In the company of the buffalo, I have a beautiful herd of elephant, also enjoying the softer grass. Remember, this is the African elephant, Loxodonta africana, widespread from Central Africa all the way down to Southern Africa. It has come off the endangered species list. They're doing a very good comeback. Best places to see these animals are in Botswana, where they have the highest population. We have a very good population in a small park called Amboseli, close to Kilimanjaro, and over there you are guaranteed to see something like 500, in one morning or evening. It's a marshy area and only the source of water, so they gather up there, and you can imagine the sight. Here, herds get to around 50. I've seen around 100 together, but they're usually about 15 to 30. Yeah, this is the view I'm getting from where I am. And remember, this is live, coming from the Mara Triangle, the Masai Mara. Talk to us, #WildEarth. Questions, comments are very, very welcome. Look at that little guy. Less than 6 months, I would say. And I'm sure he's not liking that section because it's really wet. Yeah, we have two that are trying to square off. Oh, two more. This is what happens when there's lots of good eating. Okay, I'm gonna continue on, and while I do that, we're going to take you to our other location.
Good afternoon, everyone. That is Tumi from Pinda and Beyond Private Game Reserve. Here behind the camera we have Craig, and as you can see right here, we have quite a few male nyala. As you can see, one of them, he's like walking very funny, lifting his mane. That's how they kind of greeting each other, trying to challenge sometime, because as you know, the nyalas, they're not territorial animals. They're just like home ranging. As you can see, quite a few males and females around. Just because they don't have a seasonal. They just breed through the year. So that's why the male have to make sure whenever they come across to the female, they need to know who's dominant by the time. So that's why this other male was lifting his mane, trying to like challenging the other male, and finally like one of them is just gave up. He realizes the other one is much bigger than him. That's how they do. And this is a very good place for Inyala. As you can see, a lot of dense bushes here around, nice, some other open areas. They can survive quite easily here. We have quite a number of Inyala in Pinda. This is the highest population of the Inyala in Pinda because they're doing so well. This is a very good habitat for them to survive. Look there, on the road there we have impala there as well. And if you look very carefully there, you might be able to see a crested guinea fowl. That's what you get more into this area, into KZN. That's what you get more like. Generally, you find the other different guinea fowl, which is a helmeted guinea fowl. This is a crested, which is a beautiful, beautiful color. I wish we had more light. As you can see, the road is very wet, which is more overcast. We can't see so much spots on them. Otherwise, they have more like a crest. Yeah, they're beautiful, and they can hang around quite nicely together with the other animals like impala. They also do kind of whatever they do, because they insects feeder this one. They go eat like grasshoppers, anything around like disturbed by these impala. Also, they will catch those small insects as well. So it's lovely to see here around. We have guinea fowls, impalas, and Inyala as well. After the few rain drops we had, everyone get more excited, trying to get something to eat, because it's been very dry. As you can see, the grass is very brown, but slowly it's coming in the green. After the 2-3 days it's been drizzling with a bit of rain, it helps us a lot, which is, it's very nice to have that kind of season, because everything is going to change very soon. Yeah, you can see the impala also is like snibbling around, getting something to eat as well. Same as the Inyala, but the Inyala just seems to be disappearing to the bushes, because this is their favorite place to the thicket, because they more worried about their predators, because they can't run fast like impala does. Also, impala need to jump. Well, because we don't know what is around, we'll just hang around and see what they're doing.
Right, well, Tundi has hoisted her kill. It's not a young female, it is a male. And the leopard is under the tree. Both leopards are under the tree, and I'm afraid they're behind a bush. We just can't see them. Here we go. There we go. Going up the small tree and down, and now up the big tree. There we go. Excellent. He's having a great time. I'm most pleased that he didn't decide to just go to sleep down there. He's now going to play with his dinner. Isn't he gorgeous? That's it. Ears forward, my friend. That's the look you want. Not ears in aeroplane mode. for a little duiker, oblivious to the fact that it has become the toy of a leopard, the plaything of a cub. He's now decided he thinks that's quite comfortable. No doubt that he's a male, of course. Now, oh, down. Quite a thud. Looks like he's going to stalk his mother. And if you listen carefully, you'll probably hear her giving him what for very shortly. Actually, I can see her grooming him. Let me move very slightly. I've just got a sort of a view here. How's that, BK? You see anything? That's as far as I can go, I'm afraid. Oh, I'm going to block everyone's view. Oh, no, I can go a bit forward. How's that? Okay. Inkomo. Magnificent. She gave him a good lick and then a good growl. Bath and discipline. She's got a very distinctive gait, you know, and I think it's born of a stiffness, just a little bit of stiffness in her right shoulder. Oh yeah, Teresa, this would definitely be not too much trouble for the cub to take up the tree, and I say that because the cub probably weighs in the region of 20 kilos now, maybe less than that, maybe 15 to 20 kilos. And that duiker at this current stage of its, I wanted to say existence, it of course doesn't really exist anymore, I suppose it does as a piece of meat, probably weighs in the region of 7 or 8 kilos, and that cub would be strong enough to take it up a tree. Whether it would have the skill to do it or not, I don't know. Now we have no view of either cat at all. Let's just wait here and see what happens. We'll see if the leopards come back here or if they've gone back to where they were before.
Hut is providing an early dinner for her two little ones. Now, she was really, really skittish when we first arrived here, so we were quite far back. It took her a long time to call out her cubs.
I've left the marsh area and I'm headed out towards where I saw the two lionesses, but before I get there, there is still quite a lot going on here, like straight in front of me, but behind the bushes there's a very big herd of elephant, which would be nice to stop and look at. This is a perfect area to find our only rare rhino, which I haven't seen one for quite a while. We have a handful of them, so we might get to see them. The weather and temperature has dropped dramatically, and now I can say it's almost 20, which means in the next maybe 20 minutes we might start putting on our jackets again. And yeah, maybe I'll stop here so we can have a look and observe those big, huge herd of elephants. Also, I have the family, the beautiful family of the great crested cranes in front of me here. So I have a choice to choose whatever I would like to see. Yes, look at this, James. Now here we are. I have the grey-crested cranes, the family that we saw this morning. Look at that. Looks like they're very happy, but dad or mom is very alert. And what will follow right now is he's gonna start walking away to, from us as much as possible. He's gonna put distance. He, or both of them, he and she, know that the little guys cannot fly, so the best defense mechanism right now would be to put distance between any threat as much as possible. And this is what is happening here. For us, it might seem like it's just a stroll, an evening stroll, but yeah, distance has to be put. Meanwhile, the parents are very, very alert. Every now and then, they look up, look around, make sure there's no jackals stalking them. Remember, this is the grey-crested crane. It is endangered. There are not very many. Always beautiful to come across a pair, and they're almost fully grown chicks like this. Very busy, eating away, enjoying. Oh, look at those wings. Are you gonna do that for us again? I don't think so. I think it was jumping past, had to go past a little ditch there. Yeah, that is what is happening, putting distance, and it is needed and necessary because not everybody has got good intentions. These guys spend a lot of their time on the ground, feeding on everything they can find, to small snakes and rodents, mainly seeds. But under threat, they will fly and perch on a tree. The sounds are amazing. One day we'll get to hear them. Sounds like, oh how, oh how, oh how, oh how. That's the sound they make. Usually in some tribes, look at that. Definitely there's a ditch there, and that's the parent also jumped like the little chick. Shake, 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 shake. Yeah, usually you hear them calling just after the rains. I'm sure maybe it's to say thank you. Yeah, these are very beautiful sight. And apart from them, we have lots of other things going on around here. Look at that little forest there. And you cannot tell, but there is some elephants. Look at them. Yes, quite a big herd. And they're heading out into the open, maybe for a different type of grass that is not found here in the marsh. In the forest there, they will also browse. They do feed on leaves and also barks from different types of trees. Luckily here in the Masai Mara, browse and grass is in abundance. So there is no shortage of leaves and grass, and so they can move from one area to the other and enjoy a different type of grass. Lots of young ones, and this is what we've been seeing in the last couple of months. We've had a baby boom, which is very, very, very welcome. Very spread out. As you can see, the ones to the right, this one quite close to us, means that they have no worry in the world. Here, they haven't been attacked or harassed for many, many years, so they're very free to do anything they want. That looks like a young mother with her young, and she's not worried at all. Usually they look like they're struggling or walking very slowly, but one of the steps is very, very big. The trunk is said to be an extension of the nose, and the tusks are extension of their, incisors, used for debarking trees for certain nutrients that they cannot find in the grasses. Also very useful in defending themselves and also digging for minerals. In other areas, they use the tusks. They're used, to dig onto the ground to fetch, or to get water. Okay, I'm going to head somewhere else, and while I do that, we'll take you to another location.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Twalu Kalahari. My name is Kyle. Behind the camera is Glenn. We have been trekking Mother and True for about 3.5 hours now. In the past 3 days, she has made a huge trek from the western side down southwest. And she has moved plus 20 kilometers easy. And we have found her tracks moving over there. Glenn, maybe if you want to give us a shot just on the right-hand side of here where people can see how thick it is. We have tracked into this area and she is alone. She's left the cubs behind me somewhere. Obviously, we're not going to disturb the little ones while Mom is there. Not there. But Mom is actively hunting. And we've actually had to get some extra expertise. We had to get part of our tracking team to come and help us this afternoon. And we've been reading the tracks, and we have been moving where she has been picking us up. So we are somewhat disturbing her, so I've taken it upon myself to say we are not going to follow anymore, because if we negatively affect her on a hunt, that means we're not only negatively affecting her, but we're negatively affecting the little ones, and that is my worst dream. We are not here to have a negative impact. So we're going to leave them for this afternoon. We'll follow up tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. We're going to scoot back up to the mountains and we're going to scratch around and see what we can find. I hope everybody's been having a fantastic afternoon, but we will let you know as soon as we've got something.
Here she is. We got cut a little bit short there, but it's Heart with her 2 cubs having an early dinner. There's some zebra in the background that's getting her attention every now and then. But other than that, a really peaceful, nice evening for these guys, or early evening. Interestingly, there are a few entrances to this den, but we have no idea whether they're connected inside. And these 2 cubs came out from a different side today, which is quite nice. And I've seen Corky's little one go through the back entrance and come around here. So that's nice to give us an idea of the connectivity in the den. And before we go, I'll swing round so you can see the other side, and I'll show you just how many little tunnels there are. This particular den is not much to look at. They've had some really beautiful dens. The one on Mvubu Road is a real stunner, and the one on Shimamu Road near the fire break in the south, that one was also a really, really nice one. But if we have a look at the other side a little bit later, you'll see that there's lots of little tunnels. So I'm sure these little ones have a lot of fun in there. Peacefully drinking away. I was saying to you, I'm not sure how much of it you caught, but I said that she was a little bit skittish today, so I wonder if she's seen some lions, and I do know that there were some vultures around Gari Cutline as well. So that's something to look at. But for now, we're staying here.
Welcome back to And Beyond Ngala. We are still driving around. We've been doing zigzags around the river area. I think personally it's probably one of the better places to look for animals on this day. And I mean, if you look, we've got a nice vantage point. If you look around us, the conditions aren't ideal. We've got quite a strong wind which is taking the temperature right down, and then we've got this little bit of rain, which means that these animals, especially the animals that are very dependent on their sense of smell and their hearing, will be trying to find shelter. So that's why I think looking around the river where you've got these beautiful big tall trees, very dense bushes, it provides a lot of places to hide and find some shelter. So we're looking for pretty much anything at this stage. We have seen one or two wildebeest, but they weren't very obliging. They moved away from us. We went up towards a waterhole. Edward, you asking if I can describe the aroma of the bush. And I think it's probably the best if you were to come and experience it yourself. I mean, the thing about the bush is that it changes constantly. So I wouldn't be able to describe one scent for you. At this time of year, with all of these flowers around, we get these beautiful scents of, I guess, jasmine and things like, there's a bush called a num-num which is flowering at the moment, which hangs around the river. If I see one, I'll point one out to you. So they've got a beautiful smell at the moment. Then we've got, sure, it's different. I mean, and what's exciting about this time of year, what I love about it, is the wild fruit that comes. So the marula fruits, we get kai apples. There's a whole bunch of different senses that you can experience. It's not just about looking at these big, large animals, but being in the bush and being able to smell the scent of these num-nums or taste the marula fruit all provides the experience. So we're actually just about to get to a nice viewpoint where you'll look down the river, and it's always a good opportunity at Ngala. You don't get these vantage points very often, so to take advantage of it by stopping and scanning, seeing if we can see something from the distance.
Now, we've had a very interesting development here. We were sitting here quietly, we couldn't see anything except the duiker hanging in the tree, and then we heard and we thought, goodness gracious me, what's happening? And the cub came running down the bank, skedaddled up this dry drainage line, and then we saw a hyena emerging onto the scene. And before the hyena could think about doing anything nefarious, Tundi had whacked it on the backside and it ran away. So that's what happened. It all happened in the blink of the proverbial eye. And now we've got a little cub up in the tree. Just going to have to get on the radio quickly.
No, don't worry, I was standing by for singer station to come in, so I'll make my way out. You can stay longer if you like.
Guys, I'm happy to move out if you need me to. Sips, do you want to stay?
No, it's fine, Jim. Thanks, man. You can stay. I don't know if you're hanging around.
Okay, copy, thanks. It's just we have to offer to move out because we've been here a good long time and have had a very good sighting. Excellent sighting. But Sips is leaving, and so we'll stay. So it's quite interesting. When the hyena came in, the cub didn't run for the tree. the cub seemed to aim to get away from the source, I suspect, of the hyena's interest. So in other words, to get away from the kill. Possibly in the knowledge that the kill is what the hyena was after, far more than it was after any leopard. I thought that was quite interesting. Now he's going to get a big fat belly. Yeah, they do often knock it out of the tree while they're eating, especially the little ones. And it can be the source of some frustration for the parents, or for the mother, not for the parents. Dad couldn't care less. But absolutely it can be a source of great frustration for the mother, who's worked so tirelessly to try and make the kill, and then suddenly to have it dropped out of the tree, especially the hyena lying below it. But this is a nice big wide branch, and this is not this cub's first rodeo in a tree with a kill, so, you know, I don't think it's too difficult for him. Some tough little claws there, you can see, gripped into the bark of the tree. Using his little carnassials, not so little. And you might, in the background, be able to hear the sound of a greater honey guide going, Victor, 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 Victor. I don't know why it says Victor, but that's what it says. I'm not sure what says it with the Transylvania either. There are even frogs calling this evening, which is quite exciting. Right, let's see if he manages to keep it in the tree or if he drops it to the ground into the jaws of the waiting hyena.
From the leopard's cub, we come here to a lion that is devouring a buffalo carcass. Now, this is the second lion. The first lion had a few bites and then went to take a rest. And the third lion is guarding against hyenas. We have hyenas, only that there's some bushes here, we can't really see them. But I'm sure it's going to be frenzy later on. This lion, look at his belly. It seems like he's had so much. So he's covering off the stomach matter. When lions do that at a kill, they always cover the stomach matter so that it cannot stink to attract hyenas. He's brushing off his mane. I saw lots of flies on his body, so I think by rubbing against the bushes, getting rid of the flies also. Maybe he's going down for a drink. Or maybe joining his brother. So, I think I'll turn back to see some hyenas that are already coming to the sighting here. See one hyena that is out in the open, and I think she is ready to come for the kill, but we have about 4 lions here, so they have to wait. So with the hyena being here, I'm sure the rest of the clan will be joining soon. And at night, when they owl, that's a contact call. They call in the rest of the members, and I'm sure a big number will manage to take rid of these lions here to drive them off from the kill. So it's just taking a rest while watching, because there's a sub-adult lion there. Hyenas, of course, sometimes they are worried. They keep their distance from the male lions. So she has to keep her distance in time before the rest of the clan joins in for this kill. Be happy to see that kind of interaction where the hyenas will come to mob the lions, or if the lions will stand their ground and attack the hyenas. Since that's a big kill, I'm sure these lions have had enough, but when they're outnumbered, then they have no option other than just to walk away. I can see some other hyenas just walking behind the bushes. That's why this hyena is very much concentrated, looking at that direction. Yeah, see the second hyena. Abraham, thank you so much for your question. Hyenas can run up to about 60 kilometers an hour. An interesting thing is that they can keep up the pace of about 40 to 50 kilometers an hour for up to 4 kilometers when they're chasing a prey. Let's say a zebra, a Thompson gazelle, an impala, or sometimes even a wildebeest. So they have that endurance. So what happens is that they will endure or wear out their prey and then get to eat that. So basically, they have a speed of about 60 kilometers an hour, and they have a strong pace that they can keep for about 4 to 5 kilometers without stopping. So because it's a big meal, it's a big buffalo kill. Sometimes other hyenas from another clan might come to join in. And so the dominant clan within this particular area will try to defend off and chase the other hyenas. So during that time, a very big fight ensues. So what I'm expecting right now is these hyenas might come and drive the lions off their kill. The lion might try also to defend the kill. Maybe other hyenas can be able to come in. They have a strong sense of smell. They can smell carrion 4 kilometers downwind. Can you imagine? So it's that time of the day when hyenas are becoming active. They're always nocturnal, but you always see or encounter them during the day. But typically you find them at night doing the activity, going for a hunt, scavenging. Despite them scavenging also, 75 to 80% of their kill comes from their hunting on their own. But whenever because we have a big population of land here, so whenever these hyenas get an advantage of eating whatever has remained. I'm going to hang around here, see what these hyenas are up to, if the rest of the clan will come, and as we wait, let's send you over to another safari vehicle.
Yes, from hyenas and lions and all the eating and back to our greatest grazers and browsers, the elephant. This is a totally different location. Don't be cheated that I've been stopping in the same spot all this time. I have moved quite a long way. Yes, and I'm on the road. that comes from Olololo and it takes you all the way to Serena, halfway in between there. This is totally a very different herd. They're quite far off from the others, and still the same thing that they do best is what they're doing, eating as much as they can. It is said a fully grown elephant eats almost 1/4 of a ton of grass per day. It's a lot of food. I think it would take about 3 to 4 years for a human to finish that sort of food. It's a lot of food. 250 kilos of food is a lot of food. And here we have lots of young ones, a mixture of young ones and their mothers. I don't know what that little guy is doing. Yes, but you can tell he's picked up something. So already I think his or her trunk has developed some muscles that are much needed to pluck, to be able to grab and twist and hold on to grasses and to pull. Look at that. I think, yeah, he's doing it. So he's almost about maybe 3 months. So he's doing quite well. At the beginning, when the young, usually shocked to find that they have this thing hanging from their forehead, and you can see them sometimes to get rid of it by twisting and trying to throw it away as much as possible. There's a case where I saw one trying to step on its trunk and trying to pull it off. That's how they're not attached to it at the beginning, but as soon as it starts getting useful to developing muscles, then they really use it. The guy there wants to drink. He's begging, or she's begging, following the mother at the flank. There we go. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure she said. Usually, when they really want the milk, they'll follow their mothers on the sides, sometimes touching them or forcing themselves through in between the legs. The mom sometimes don't feel comfortable, reason unknown to me, and they'll continue grazing. I think they're very much like us humans. We know when to really give the milk. Yeah, there we go. Taking advantage of every stop mom takes to take a little bit or steal a little bit of milk that belongs to him or her, I think. The elephants here, because of not being troubled by anybody over the years, have learned to move towards human habitated areas up on the escarpment, and this is one of the areas they can easily go up. They would walk up outside the conservancy and they would go feed on grasses that haven't been fully utilized, and certain trees like the magic guarris that are in abundance up there. Then early in the morning they come down. These guys, I would think they're heading towards Olololo, that area, and maybe towards our camp. It's quite a long way, but they might make it by around 10 o'clock. Because, when they decide to move, elephants can walk long distances. Yeah, the little guy is still begging? Yes. Yeah. Oh, these are different one. He's slightly bigger. Yeah, this slightly bigger one, trying to beg for some milk. I don't know if it's able, trying to position. You can see it's quite an art to try and pick up where the teat is when you have a long trunk that's getting too big, and also the tusks. And I think this is about time when he stops drinking, because already those tusks are too big. Look at them. Yeah, remember, this is live. It's coming from the Mara Triangle in the Masai Mara, in Kenya, in East Africa. Yeah, to continue talking to us, hashtag WildEarth, comments and questions are very welcome. What is happening there? Trying to beg for some more. There we go, trying to get some. I don't know if he will be able, but while I wait to see if he's going to be able, let's see what is happening somewhere else.
Greedy Guts here has not ceased his eating. He's just sat in the same perfect fork of this leadwood tree, devouring his duiker, this poor little duiker ram. There's a surprising number of duiker, you know. When you drive around at night with a spotlight, it's when you see them the most, because their eyes shine, of course, and so you see them shining out of many bushes. I must say that the majority of the sounds that I'm hearing at the moment are not coming from the excited frogs, excited because summer's on the way, or the Birchall starling that's calling off towards a newly filled pan just in front of us. Indeed, no, it's not even the crunching of the bones that this young cub is is making. No, it is the sound of BK's incredibly hungry stomach going. He's just put some food in it, so I'm hoping it's going to shut up for a few minutes. But who knows? It has thus far not affected this young leopard, who I keep wanting to call Wolfie, but I know that I'd be in big trouble if I did, so I won't. I can't be in big trouble if someone else called him that, though, can I? For those of you who don't know, Lex Hess called him Wolfgang because he thought it would be a funny joke. Little did he know, he was correct. The cub will probably be named when it's about a year old. That's generally the tradition. Although, no, at WildEarth we've named them a lot earlier than that, because obviously viewers like to have a name to the leopard. So do we. We also enjoy it. I would name them before a year. And the naming rights are supposed to go to the person who discovered the leopard first, which in this case is moi. I don't think moi will be given the honour, unfortunately. We normally defer, and I probably would defer, to Rexon or Aubrey. In fact, I definitely would. They're the two senior guides at Juma, and they'd come up with a name. What would you call him, BK? Texan. I thought about that myself, actually. I wondered if they would do Texan the honour. Texan was a guide at Juma who unfortunately died recently. And I think it might be quite nice to have this leopard called Texan. I think it's a good idea. Texan the leopard.
All right, take a look at this. Very beautiful, very large section or disturbance within the sand.
All right. Look what we've come across. Another wonderful sighting that nature has provided. How amazing is this? Yeah, you really get to see this kind of sighting, and it's one amazing one. I must say how happy I am. You cannot believe it. I hope you're enjoying it. They are sleepy, but being on a tree as a lion, it is something out of this world. They rarely climb because they are very clumsy when coming down, and actually it is also very dangerous for them. They can break their limbs or even get stuck. There are stories where I've heard of lions getting stuck and actually committing suicide. So it's very dangerous, but very exciting and amazing and wonderful to see them on top of a tree like this. Usually, trees with a nice incline will be easy to climb, and then they'd use it as a vantage point to see if there's anything they can go for. And this is the case, which is also, throwaways other animals because they are looking on the ground, not noticing them on top of a tree. Once they have noticed there is nothing, usually they will take a nap, sleep, and actually wait until there is something. Okay, looks like the one to the right is trying to reposition. Well, I don't know if she's repositioning or wants to come down, but I'm gonna wait to see what she's doing while we find out about other locations.
All right, let's try this again. Beautiful little structure we have found in the beautiful red Kalahari sand. Amazing thing to see. Dylan's more than likely spoken to folks about this, but for any newcomers, a really amazing structure to find and look at. So the name of this is bokspoor. Bok is buck, translate from Afrikaans to English. Spoor is track. So buck track. And it does. Are even. So it means that the toe, they're actually stepping tippy toes, their toes are split, just like that over there. And this somewhat resembles that of an antelope track. But the beautiful creature responsible for this amazing structure is actually a spider. Anybody that's afraid of spiders, beware. We're not going to see it, but we're going to talk about it. So this is the structure has been made by a female. There's a sexual dimorphism or difference between that of the male and female. They are different in appearance, and this beautiful structure has been created for her residing purposes and as well as catching prey. So this section over here, you can see this section of the soil is actually very different in comparison to this over here. This is that she has, with her spinnerets, manipulated the structure of the silk to make it flat. Silk can be round, it can be flat. They can actually manipulate the structure of the silk depending on what they need it for. So she's created this silk lid, and underneath there there'll be a tunnel going down into the ground where she will reside. Either she'll be laying and waiting just at the entrance, over there or there, or she can actually be hanging upside down on the underside of this cover. And just like our beautiful antlion that we looked at the other day, this works in the same format. You want an unexpected insect, come wandering in here, and it falls into the pit. And the disturbance of the soil will obviously alert us. Spiders have thousands covering the body, and they can pick up the minutest vibration or displacement in wind. And what she'll have over here, she'll have a single strand out of this burrow, and she'll actually feel the strand being manipulated or bumped, and she will know then to come out, woof, and grab and pull this item back into the burrow. Really amazing. Bokspoor spider.
guys, as you can see, right in front of us, we have a quite nice herd of buffalo. They're actually slowly making their way far from the waterhole, but it's just like they get more curious as they can see us. We are actually in our Pinda airstrip. As you can see, that line right in front of a buffalo. Wow, look at that, it's chewing a cud. It's amazing to see the way it does. Just like big foam just dropping from the mouth. So then, well, they will just they're like moving around. Start grazing now. Actually, they were checking it down. There's like old pen system there. They're just checking if there's any water, but I believe it's very dry for now. There's no water at all. So they're like kind of slowly moving, but at the same time they're very curious, checking on us. Well, quite a few young bulls. Look at that little one. They're funny looking, their little horns. Ah, look at that big cow on the right. She's quite a big cow. Looks like they lost their plan now because they're slowly heading down to the air. And where they were heading to the water. Wow, look at that, cool. Wow. Yeah, look at them. Just it looks like it's just gone stationary for now. We'll just wait and see what their plan is.
We've had to just leave the den for a little bit to allow the other cars to come in and have a look. And then we spotted these 3 giraffes in the distance. Quite far in the distance. But they seem to have spotted me already. There's 3 of them, and I quite like when we're far away, as I've told you with elephants as well, because it feels like when you're really getting their natural behavior. And also the type of view you get is a little bit different. It's nice to get the close-ups and all of that. But it's also nice to see the 3 of them like this, doing all sorts of formations. They made a little heart earlier. I don't know if you can hear, there's a battalier calling in the background. Oh, I see them. There's a tree off to the right. I see 2 of them, a little bit more. Actually, quite a bit more. I actually hope we'll be able to see them. Or will they be obstructed by this magic warrior in front of me? Let's see. There they are, on the top of the screen. Some long-distance battaliers and a long-distance giraffe. I don't know what it is. I like the change in the view sometimes. There's actually 3 of them on that tree. They sound very, very squawky when they call. A little like a chicken. I think that's what might have gotten the giraffe's attention when it was busy calling. Now the giraffes have relaxed. They're starting to eat again. I like this particular spot of the reserve. I'm not far from the den, but you get to hear a lot. And I always feel that around this time, all the sounds come alive. Now, I told you that I knew that there were vultures that were seen on the dam cam, and some of you have let me know too. But those have been investigated a little bit earlier, and nothing was found. The other guides think that whatever it was is now done, because there seems to be nothing of interest around there. And maybe that means that lions were there and moved off, because there were quite a lot of vultures. Look how easy they are to see when the bush is so thin and so grey in certain bits. One of them looked so pale. That's what actually got my attention at first, and then we saw, oh, there's 3 of them. Really pretty. I'm glad we found them. I've been really enjoying today's drive and the variety. Hopefully we'll find some more interesting things.
Here we are still but the lions have woken up, and I think they're wondering, how did we get up here and how are we gonna get down? But before they fully decide to come down, they're taking the last advantage to look down to where maybe they'll find a meal or choose direction to go. These are part of the Olololo females. You can say Olololo females, and I don't know when they came up this tree, because when I saw them this morning, they had just finished eating something and they were eyeing some zebras that were very close, and then they decided to walk and climb this boskia tree. Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's wait and see. Yeah, looks like they're very comfortable standing, but when they start coming down, it can get very interesting. Remember, this is live. It's happening now in the beautiful Masai Mara. You can tell that their bellies are very full, so they're not very desperate. It is usual for these great cats to accumulate enough fat to take them through hard times. And when I say hard times, it can get really hard, because all the animals within and around everywhere. Okay, are you gonna come down? Looks like she's being very cautious on when to come down. The other one hasn't gotten a very good footing. She's trying to stand up fast. She looked very comfortable. She's trying to stand up fast, and then she's gonna maybe decide to come down. The female in front might be coming down at lightning speed. That could be the only option. It's not a very long tree, but they have to be very careful. Breaking a leg, that could be disastrous, because it can mean it's the end of life for her. Here we go. Ta-dan. Yeah. Super cool. Okay, a little bit more. I hope the one behind is watching to where she can put her foot. Maybe they've done this before. They've been up the tree. I don't know. Could be their first time. But the one in front is really being careful. Looks much more mature, older, experienced. That's why she's taking her time while taking advantage to look around and see. Are you gonna sit down? Oh, beautiful. How about that for a picture? So beautiful. Are you gonna lay down on your belly? No. Yeah, lions are not meant for climbing. They're very big. They're very big paws. And they're too heavy. But every now and then you do come across them. It is a very rare sight to see them on top of a tree. They usually forced up a tree either to get a kill or steal a kill from a leopard or the upper tree because they've been bitten by biting insects on the ground. Places like Tarangire and parts of Serengeti, there are places we call Sese headquarters or Sisefly headquarters. Over there, lions don't spend much time on the ground. As soon as they've eaten, they go up a tree because they're very, very disturbed and the flies don't follow them up there. So it's another reason they go up there. And I think the third one is a vantage point. You know, they have a very good sight. Jackie, you want to know if they fall, they will land on their feet. I would assume you are reflecting on how a domestic cat always lands. I think here is totally a very different story, Jackie, because, you know, they might get clumsy and the back part starts falling. So it means they might land on their back. They are not as agile and their reflexes are not as quick like the small cats to try and counter-attack the unbalanced weight so that they can fall on their all fours. So they can fall on either back, forwards, or sideways, which can be disastrous, like I said. So Jackie, it's very different with these cats. When they fall, if it's a fall they were going to do it, they fall just like us. Sometimes you try and balance, but you can. But if you're going to fall, you drop, you know, you hit the ground properly. That's how they fall. Yeah, you can tell she is much younger. I don't know how she got out of the position. I wasn't really concentrating. Look at how beautiful she is. Very, very healthy. You know, this is an animal full of muscle, built to kill. The mind and life exists on killing. When they wake up, it's about killing, it's about eating. That is all that goes on in their minds. Are you gonna come down, oh little girl? You can tell she's contemplating, thinking, you know, am I gonna go down fast? Yeah, if it was a leopard, that would be, you know, just a piece of cake. Should be done. Yeah, okay, last part. She's gonna come down first. Super, look at how she does it. Wow, look at that. Yeah. Nicely done. Wow, talk about experience. Easy peasy. Just like that, she's down on the ground. Yeah, the advantage about lions coming down a tree is that they cannot put out their claws to get a grip, so they just slide. Okay, here comes the princess. Oh, Lolo princess. Let's see how she's gonna do. There we go. Are you gonna stop like older girl? Yeah, are you gonna do the same thing? Look at that. How beautiful is that? I hope you're enjoying the ambience, the sound that's being made by our sister colors and frogs. Okay, here we go. Ding-ding-ding. Yes, she did it. And we leave to talk about it. She did very, very well. No issues, no accidents. Everybody back on the ground. Michelle, thank you for your comment. You say 10 over 10. Absolutely. It is that. Yeah. She did very well. And now on the ground, I don't know if she located what she wanted to go for. And, oh, no. A little bit of a nap. Was it too much of energy used? I don't think so. But staying up there, I think, was intense and sensitive. And so, I think they were not rested until now that they're on the ground. Look, and now she's up once more, looking. Maybe she's going to decide to make dinner later on. That was wonderful. Let's go and find some more wonderful stuff.
We are sitting with our wonderful stuff now. We've had a very lucky afternoon of sitting with one cat. It's been very pleasant. Trishala has done the majority of the trawling around Juma today. So we've been lucky. And hopefully our luck will persist. I'm sure Trishala will come down here in the morning, weather allowing. The weather was so dreadful this morning that it fried our communications. And even if those had been up, I don't think we'd have been able to go out. It was raining so hard. Anyway, more than made up for it this afternoon. With young Master Tundi's son. And Tundi somewhere off in the thickets behind there. And the hyena lurking. Although if it's got any sense, it'll be lurking quite far off. It won't have given up, though. So although she gave it a fearful pasting, it won't have given up. It'll be lurking around here somewhere. And if it hears the of a leg or other kind of piece of meat hitting the ground, it'll be in very fast. I suspect it found the kill because it could hear the crunching. I really don't think it would have smelt anything on a damp, dank day like today. A damp, dank day like today. Like that one, BK?
Yep.
Oh yes, Jenna, there's no doubt that the cub will eat the tongue. He's eaten 2 ears while you've been away. He's probably eaten the tongue as well. The only things that he won't eat are bones too big for him to crunch, so maybe the femur and maybe the humerus of the duiker. But he will eat just about everything else. The skull he'll try and crack open, and if he doesn't, his mother will. The teeth he won't eat, so he'll probably leave those, and the jawbone he'll leave. But the rest will pretty much be devoured. Even probably maybe the biggest vertebra won't be. But the rest will be crunched away, if not by him, by his mum, and certainly any bits of large-ish bone that are dropped off this duiker will be savaged by the hyena. He's had a thoroughly good feed though since the hyena disappeared. And you can hear in the background the barred owlet. Tiny little owl. Likes to live in these riverine areas. He's got a very pink tongue, does our little leopard. You can see probably the tongue of the duiker is gone. You'll be pleased to know, everybody, that BK's stomach has stopped rumbling now. He has eaten a snack bar and seems to have quietened things internally for him. It's a perfect tree, really, that she's draped the duiker in, because there's a nice wide platform on which he can sit. So he doesn't need to maneuver it around to eat. And that means that I suspect most of it will be devoured up there. And the risk of dropping it is that much lower. He's now having at the eye socket, which is probably a bit of a delicacy. I'm sure the eyes are long gone. As you can see, he hasn't managed to crack the skull, and I don't think he will. Sure, his little jaws are not quite strong enough just yet. Also must be careful of skewering his palate on those horns. That would be very unpleasant for him. You can hear the wind starting to come up now. The crickets are calling. The frogs too, around the temporary or seasonal pans that have now filled up. I think we must have had about 25 to 30 millimeters of rain over the last 24 hours, which is great. Oh, now, Jenny, will I remember the explanation to this? Okay, so, if I'm not mistaken, the slitted pupil is more common on the smaller cats because they don't do a great deal of chasing. They do much more stalk, ambush, wait, and pounce. And as far as I remember, and I could have forgotten this, but as far as I remember, what that slitted pupil does, for some reason, and I don't remember the physics behind it, but it allows them to judge that pouncing distance much more accurately. Whereas while this is an ambush predator, obviously, there is obviously a brief chase when they, normally a brief chase when they attack their prey. And with cheetah and with lions, that chase is often a bit longer. And they have got the round pupils, which tends to help with that, apparently. And I think that's the reason. The other interesting one is the horizontal pupils of a lot of the herbivores. And those are horizontal because it allows them a greater field of view so that they can look further around them. I don't think they can't judge distance nearly as accurately as an animal with the eyes in the front of its head, like the cats. But what's doubly interesting about those herbivore eyes is that they tilt. So as the animal puts its head down, it's like a spirit level, they tilt so that the pupil remains horizontal to the ground, allowing the animal a full field of view, probably about 270 to 290 degrees or so, maybe even more, all the way around. And it doesn't change when they put their heads down or lift their heads up again. So that part of it I do remember. And I think it is the pouncing cats that are much more likely to have the slit pupil, vertically slit pupil. There we go. There's the big Panthera cats, the round pupil. Right, it's getting dark now, and so we're going to leave this young kitty and his mum, and we'll make our way slowly back towards the camp and see if we can find anything on the way.
Well, as it is getting dark there, it is also doing the same here. Our lionesses did very well coming down the tree, and where they landed, nobody has made a move. They're still in the same position. Remember, at night, lions' eyesight gets even better. They can see 10 times better than us, so that's why they're very, very successful at night. You can tell now they're getting much more active in looking around, maybe trying to locate something that they are going to go for. It is almost 8 minutes to 7 East African time, and their success rate is usually much higher at night, and I think they're waiting for total darkness. Then they're going to go and find either, maybe I would call it breakfast or lunch, I don't know. Then they can continue with their lives. This is what they do best, resting after a good earned meal, spending about 18 to 20 hours of a day just sleeping. They deserve to do that because when active, whatever they go for is always on the lookout. It's either very fast, can kick, can bite, or even gore them, or even larger than them. So a lot of energy and effort is put into bringing it down. And to prove this to you, I cannot do it physically, but I can tell you I have seen them, trying to bring down a buffalo for about 3 hours. There were 4 lionesses. It was a lot of time. You can imagine being in the gym and jogging on a treadmill for 3 hours. They eventually brought it down. And so when they rest, I try to tell people they deserve it. Some people say they're too lazy. And I think you need to spend more time somewhere, see them on the active attitude, and you'll give them a lot of respect. Like I said before, this super predator is built for the kill. All that goes on its mind is how it can kill, and it does very well when it's killing. But towards the end, lions live the most miserable life. Yes, I'm waiting here to see what's going to happen. I don't know how dark it is in other locations.
Lions are rewriting the biology books, climbing up trees. Here we've managed to make it back to the den. And Ribbons too, Shimbulu and Ngwazi are out, as well as Hearts too. And it's getting quite dark, so we'll be leaving them very soon. In fact, we'll be leaving you quite soon too. But at least we managed to get last-minute playtime with these cuties. I'm just hanging back a little bit further away than we normally do, just because of Heart's cautious behavior today. I don't want to give her anything else to stress out about, even though we are not a threat. And she is definitely a lot more alert today. Not that these cubs mind at all, they're just having the time of their lives. I was just waiting for Corky's little thing to come out too, so we can complete the set. They've been playing a ring around the termite mound. Look at them go. And they'll be out on the other side in no time. There they come, back again. And around again. Oh, very cool. I think I will reserve showing you the tunnels on the other side for a time when Heart or any other adult is a little bit more relaxed. And for when there's a little bit more light. It's getting dark very quickly. So much energy after their early dinner. All of these cubs play so well together. It sounds like such a human thing. Can you hear their little feet? Tippa-tappa, tippa-tappa. Stuck in bed. You want to know what my favorite fact about hyenas are? Well, for one thing, I think that they're absolutely intelligent. In fact, way more intelligent than we've probably been able to describe and express, or that they've been able to. And I've thought a lot about how that development happens, not just from an evolutionary point of view, but in terms of actual biological development. And the one thing that I came across that really struck me was the type of placenta that they have, which is very, very similar to our own. It's quite an invasive placenta, which means that the cub is receiving nutrients and a blood supply from the mother very directly and very invasively, much like our own. So it takes a lot out of the mother to actually produce the cub, and to grow the cub inside of her. And the reason I went looking for that kind of information is because I wanted to know, how do they develop the way they do? So ready to fight, so ready to walk, to see, to fight for their dominance. They're just a very, very impressive species. And I have plenty of facts that I love about them, but that is a nice one that I don't hear often. And now they've decided to stick behind the sticks. But that's okay. We've had a wonderful afternoon with them, even if it was short. At least we got to see them and do a bit of a cub count. I wish Corky's little one would come out, but I guess next time. And I guess I'm going to see you next time, tomorrow morning for Sunrise Safari. So thank you for your questions and comments. Bye-bye for now.